What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Late Round Fantasy Football Show Playoff Best Ball Edition. The regular season's over. The crazy Week 18 is over. Christmas, New Year's is over, and we're back. We're back for a playoff best ball, and I've got a special guest with me. Hint, he's a best ball bro. So I'll let you know who that is in a second. It's a Late Round Fantasy Football Show Playoff Best Ball Edition. Welcome in, David Kitchen, COO of Late Round, employee number one. As you know, we've got two employees.
Yeah,
now.
Both, for the record, both in the Eastern time zone.
Yes, exactly. I just want to say that I am privileged to have a guest on with us today on the Late Round Fantasy Football Show. You might know him as JJ Zachariason. You might know him as Late Round QB, the CEO of Late Round Media. I know him as the newest member of the Best Ball Bro community. Welcome in, JJ. Welcome.
Hello. I don't know if I like that tag or not.
Well, the whole purpose for the past 2 years was becoming a Best Ball Bro. You knew what you were getting yourself into, pal.
I know. But now when we hopefully, fingers crossed, decide that we want to do becoming a Best Ball Bro again. We gotta hear from the people. Like, do we change the name of the podcast of that little sideshow that we do over the summer, or do we just keep the brand going with becoming a Best Ball Bro?
Yeah, I think it's more like the title stays the same.
I think so too.
Because since you are, number one, alliteration, but number two, you are a Best Ball Bro. You are teaching other people now.
I don't want that. I don't need that. I don't want that. I'm not the best ball teacher.
Okay, but they are becoming a Best Ball Bro now. They want to become a Best Ball Bro.
Correct. Yes. But now I don't want to only talk to the men out there, because there's women out there that also want to, because becoming a Best Ball Bro, it was specifically me becoming a Best Ball Bro, right? Because I'm a dude. And so now you run into all of the women out there that are listening to the show might understandably be frustrated if it's only becoming a Best Ball Bro, because if I'm now all of a sudden speaking to everybody else about that.
Yeah. Like what's the female version of bro?
Broette.
No, that is not it.
They don't like that.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like gal. I don't know. Like what?
Becoming a Best Ball gal.
Yeah.
Like really
what do girls? I mean, really, they call themselves girl. Like, hey, girl.
To me though, it's just branding, in my opinion, right? Yeah. Like it's sort of like how like Matt Harmon still has BYB, in his handle for Backyard Banter, or Matthew Berry, TMR, right? Yeah. Still has that. It's
talented,
Mr. The same idea. Yeah. Like, it's not like you have to keep that moniker forever, but the brand, you know what you're getting into whenever you open up one of those shows.
Yeah. Bro equals gal. Okay. So I think we're good. And people are saying to keep the name. Yeah, it's just a title. Becoming a Best Ball Bro is just what people like. Best Ball Bro is just a term for when you just have the best ball sickness, like when you are just all wrapped up. And I can say, JJ, that's why you are now a Best Ball Bro. This was the first regular season that I was with Late Round, and our morning meetings every week were, okay, let's get to the business items. But first, let's talk about our playoff. Let's talk about our playoff chances. Let's talk about our best ball teams. We are looking at like which ones are like have a chance. Oh, look at this one. What's your highest? Every week we would say, what's your highest scoring team? What's your highest scoring team? Yeah.
I honestly couldn't have asked for much better of a fantasy season. I thought you were going
to say like a someone working for me, COO, a fantasy focused COO. I thought that's what you're going to say.
Yeah. I couldn't have asked for a better Seattle Seahawks defense this year. No, the fantasy season was a good one. Now that we're, a couple weeks removed from or like content in this feed, whether the YouTube channel or you're listening in the podcast feed, we're a couple weeks removed from like the week in, week out content that you guys have all been consuming and such. And looking back and seeing the results of the season, thinking about what the guide had in it and said, there's going to be people. This is just the way that it goes, right? If you have thousands of people that are consuming a rankings list, right? There's going to be some contingent of folks who got absolutely smoked based on the exact same set of rankings and tiers as someone else who absolutely destroyed. That's just the way that fantasy football works. You could have easily just gotten, Brian Thomas or something and someone else in that same range decide to go running back and they get Devon Achane or something, right? And so, there's going to be some people who are like, JJ's terrible at this, which is just going to happen, right? I'm very happy and pleased. Like, I think 2025 as a fantasy season, based on, because my results will obviously correlate to like how my advice was and such. But I think 2025 was probably one of the better ones since starting late round fantasy football. It was a good year overall, a really interesting season. I have a lot of ideas in my head of some podcast stuff that I want to do before I really dive into the things I got right, things I got wrong. I want to look at some like high level meta stuff with the season and see some trends and maybe make a podcast episode out of that. But yeah, I mean, like overall, it was a really fun season. And then the cherry on top was being able to sweat the Millie. That lineup and having Derrick Henry,
starting with Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Like not only so for people who don't know this, okay. I went for years talking about Derrick Henry regression back in the day. Like I stopped probably 3 or 4 years ago, but early on in his career, I liked him as a prospect and I was drafting him early on. And then he just started doing, unhuman things and just was an alien. Right. And so I was, I famously had him as a sell candidate 1 year and he just did not regress whatsoever. And then eventually I got to the point probably a little bit earlier than other analytically minded analysts did, because I oftentimes am just like, I give up. I'm not going to figure this out. And it's not going to be figured out. This guy's just an anomaly.
Yeah.
I did that with Derrick Henry a couple of years ago and I just stopped with the whole fade Derrick Henry kind of vibe. But Kitchen, before being hired late round fantasy football last year, was talking mad junk to me about, what was the exact thing that you said about?
I made a joke that, it was your annual thing to have him on your do not draft list,
which wasn't even true for the rest.
No, there was hyperbole involved, of course. And then it became
but then I responded back and I said that it was bold of an analyst or something like that in quotes, to say something like that. And so we had this fake beef going back and forth and literally like half the people reading it thought it was real.
Yeah.
That we were
the people that didn't know me, which more people know you than me. People that know me understand King Henry Truther, the hear ye thing. Yeah. He's a Tennessee Titan, my favorite player ever. So they understood the context. The people that did not know me, JJ, who is this guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So can we take care of him?
Yeah. So there were people that were like ready to fight you.
Yeah.
Essentially. But yeah, so like the Derrick Henry thing has like a bond. There's like a special bond with us with Derrick Henry. And then it just so happened that the team that I got to the final had Kyle Pitts. And then for week 15, week 16, this is, if anyone didn't listen to Becoming a Best Ball Bro, this is just a very quick recap. Week 16 had that San Francisco stack and somehow avoided Puka in that pod. And then in week 17, obviously still had that San Francisco stack, but it started with Derrick Henry and, finishing in the top 40 in the Millie. I feel like all of the times that Derrick Henry has burned me in the past, it got wiped away. Now I'm plus money with Derrick Henry lifetime after that experience with him in that lineup.
Yeah. Yeah. That way he got you back to even. And I feel like you said, he was the one guy, and he was coming up there. It wasn't just you. It was the running backs don't matter phase. There's like a big period of running backs don't matter.
Yeah.
And he, like you said, he was defying the odds. I feel like the only two people that like spreadsheets had a hard time comprehending was Derrick Henry and just the massive beast that he is, and Travis Hunter this past year, playing both wide receiver and cornerback. Like, it was really hard to model those guys out.
The other one that was really weird early on was Tyreek Hill, but it's a lot easier to forgive wide receiver talent just because it's not as contingent upon the rest of the lineup doing, the offensive line, et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's a more talent driven position, which is why it gets paid more. And so with Derrick Henry, though, it was always just like, this dude literally checks none of the boxes that we want in a fantasy running back, right? The only thing that he gets is a lot of volume on the ground, but there's no receiving upside there. In Tennessee, he wasn't even in great offenses. Like, it was just one thing after another. And so, fortunately, it hasn't really been the case for me with Derrick Henry over the last couple of seasons. I see Gerg in chat saying film don't lie. Disagree completely. Do you want me to rant right now about this? I see this all the time. It's very interesting. It's really interesting when I go out with like a statistic of some sort. And I tweeted the Luther Burden yards per route run thing, for instance. And there's a lot of responses being like, well, it's not capturing this. It's not capturing. Yeah, I know it's not. I'm not saying that Luther Burden with his great yards per route run rate as a rookie is better than Jamar Chase because it was better than Jamar Chase's as a rookie. That's not what I'm saying. It's simply saying we're directionally getting into this area of very, very good wide receivers. And the interesting thing with Luther Burden is that as a prospect, from a modeling standpoint, he comped to like a Brandon Ayuk, kind of DJ Moore, but that archetype of player is sort of in that like Malik Neighbors realm, like as an insane ceiling. I don't think Luther Burden's going to hit that ceiling. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying like that archetype of player where they're incredible after the catch. And if they can really hone in and get become a better route runner and a more complete wide receiver, the ceiling is just insane. But yes, I was tweeting about Luther Burden, and everyone says things like, it's not capturing this, it's not capturing that. Guys, any good data analyst knows that and should admit that. They should not say that it's capturing everything. But when people say film don't lie, if film doesn't lie, then why does every film analyst have a different opinion on a player? All the time. Film lies all the time because it's subjective and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with film analysts doing what they do. I have tons of respect for guys like Matt Waldman and whomever, right? Who are grinding that stuff and putting together amazing content. And they're doing amazing analysis. But to sit here and say that film doesn't lie is the same thing as me saying numbers don't lie. Like, they all lie. It just is a matter of who's analyzing that individual thing.
Yeah.
All right, rant over.
Okay, it's
the off season. This is the time to rant.
It's the off season, and the show is going to evolve. It's going to be weird sometimes. It's like when JJ was like, "Let's start with 2 running backs in this best ball draft. Let's get weird." Let's get weird sometimes, and we might have a top 40 lineup. So here's the plan for today. We're going to discuss a few items, then we're going to discuss playoff best ball, because really it has grown into something that is like filling the void, right? Like, we had there was like these niche playoff contests, but now playoff best ball is like best ball. It's continuing to grow. Yeah. There are prize pools that continue to get bigger. I mean, the one on DraftKings right now, it'll probably be full in a couple of days, by Friday, which is generally it'll fill the day of, or there might be a little bit of what we call overlay, which is, right, the number of guaranteed entries with a prize pool minus the number of people that actually registered. So, but there are more people and with it becomes a new layer of strategy. Like, if you're just what we call a normie that has no idea, and you're just trying to draft the best players who you think, you're like, what an idiot. Why is he drafting Devontae Adams before? There's strategy.
I would argue that playoff best ball, the draft environment, you have to understand the game more than you would because you can go into a regular best ball league and have a general idea of like what parameters to set with positional limits, right? And just say like, okay, I'll draft 2 or 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, whatever. And you generally know, and you can do it then. Like, you can just draft it. Even if you're not stacking, you can still advance. Like, there's still ways, but playoff best ball is a totally, totally different beast. And you gotta be, I would say that there's so much more reacting going on than there is in a regular, like I can't draft multiple drafts at the same time in playoff best ball.
Right.
I tried to do it the other day and I accidentally drafted 3 quarterbacks on a team. It was horrible.
Well, I just auto drafted a draft. Not going to say the reason why, but I just auto drafted it. I just looking at this draft, like, okay, I just donated, because there's certain structures in place, and we're going to talk about those in a second. And we're also going to draft a team together, JJ. I don't know if we've
maybe multiple even.
Oh, okay, all righty. First, though, I want to scroll down and just get some initial reactions. Yeah, it's get weird. Because we haven't talked about this. I've seen you in the chat.
Yeah.
You posted the Pittsburgh theme song.
There's a Steelers fight song that's been Roger Wood created it in the 90s. And the first iteration of it I remember is when the Steelers went to the Super Bowl against the Cowboys in that 95-96 season. And to the point where if you went to school in Pittsburgh as a kid, my elementary school would literally play it at the end of that Friday before that weekend over the loudspeakers, right? And they would play this fight song. It's here we go, dun 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 dun, dun, right? And then you would but they changed the player names, but I still remember the 95 song, right? And talking about Yancey Thigpen and players who's also ex Tennessee Titan.
He went to play for Tennessee, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I did post the Steelers updated theme song for fight songs this year.
I was watching this game. We were talking about this on the other show that I do, the Swolecast, but I was watching this not knowing who I wanted to win to start. I just knew I wanted to watch this game.
Mm-hmm.
I had Derrick Henry, who's my all-time favorite player, but playing for the Ravens, who's not exactly a Titan favorite, against the Steelers. And I like Tomlin. I like the narrative, Aaron Rodgers going out, at least not in the regular season.
He's had a redemption season this year.
Yes,
both image wise and play wise. He's been decent this year.
Yeah, he stayed out of the news as far as drama goes.
Right.
He's had a good season, and I found myself during that game wanting Pittsburgh to win towards the end,
mm-hmm.
and it was going back and forth. And when they were about to get in field goal, when they got in field goal range, about to kick that, I'm like, this sucks. I want to know your reaction, because we haven't really heard from your reaction as far as what you were saying.
I mean, look, I'm a Steelers fan. I grew up, born and raised Pittsburgh. Like I said, it's a big part of me. I've gone to, we had 2 season tickets that we split with family growing up. I don't know if I've talked about this before. And so I went to Heinz Field from 2001 to 2010 ish.
Yeah, I didn't know
until I left the city. I've been to 50 Steeler games before, because we were fortunate to have that opportunity to split those tickets. And so I've seen so many games there. It's the reason why I think I do this and am passionate about football, because of what I got to experience growing up, going down there with my brother, my dad, and just, seeing some of these amazing games and watching that. Those are my favorite teams of all time too, just because of that, the Roethlisberger with those awesome, with Heinz Ward and Bettis, and then those awesome defenses that they had. So the Steelers have a special place in my heart. I've said this many times. As I've gotten older, I care a little bit less from a fandom perspective, because I just respect other teams a lot more. Whenever you're a fan of a team, you have to hate the division rivals and stuff. I don't really feel that way. Maybe it's maturity, or maybe it's my job, right? It's one of the two.
It's probably a mixture of both.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is. But what's really fun for me is that when the season ends, and if the Steelers are competitive like they are right now, not to say that I think they're going to necessarily win the Super Bowl or even win this weekend.
You were in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being obnoxious in the chat, but I get to be, I got to just let go of it. There was no fantasy going on for me. All I cared about was that game as a fan, and I wanted them to win. And I woke up my whole house whenever Tyler Loop missed that field goal. The crazy thing about that field goal is that he makes it. We might be talking about Mike Tomlin being gone, and John Harbaugh still has his job.
Yes.
That's how important that field goal was. And is it not? This is why I love football so much. It's sports in general. It's always the storylines and the stories, right? And the story with the season ending on Tyler Loop's foot after everything they went through with Justin Tucker over the offseason,
yes,
and having to get a new kicker, and then relying on that kicker, and then that kicker being a key part to their loss in that
Yeah.
game. It's all just crazy and awesome. And if it doesn't make you love football, then this probably isn't the sport for you, because that game was a top 5 regular season game I think I have ever watched in my life.
Yeah, the back and forth, losing Zay Flowers multiple times. I mean, it was, you just thought the odds were just going back and forth as far as just like who you thought whoever had the ball last was going to win.
I'm sitting there texting my brother and my dad. My dad has COVID right now too, and I FaceTimed him right after the field goal happened, and he's like all amped up on adrenaline. I'm like, this probably isn't good for my dad who's got COVID right now, celebrating this.
Did you do the whisper shout like you did with me after the final?
After we got into the final with the 49ers. Yeah. No, so like I mean, it was just an awesome game. And I remember texting my brother and my dad at one point after that Zay Flowers, the big touchdown. And I was like, I sent a text of something along the lines of like, this is good for the Steelers long term. This is okay. It's trying to cope that this L was coming. And then, I mean, guys, Aaron Rodgers was lights out in the fourth quarter, like lights out with with literal rejects at wide receivers. It was
the corpse of Adam Thielen catching passes,
and Marquez Valdes-Scantling and 5'8" Calvin Austin. It's like, how is this happening right now? The whole thing was just drama, amazing. And I hope Ravens fans can at least like enjoy that side of the, and like look back and be like, man, we were part of something like insane. That game was.
I don't think that they take any.
I'm saying in like months from now, after they realize, after the Steelers lose the Texans, and
that's sweet of you to say that. I'm sure they're like, you know what, we just lost Harbaugh. Derrick Henry's probably not going to re-sign. We're probably going to cut it. I don't know if he's going to be cut or leave to go somewhere else, but
I think he'll stay. I think they'll keep him around.
I don't know, man. But I'm sure they're feeling great though about just being involved. I'm
gonna rank the openings.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say. I kind of did already. So you tell me what you'd have differently. So just going through for our audio listeners, Ravens fire John Harbaugh, like JJ said, because that kick. The Giants, obviously, Giants and Titans had already fired their coaches. Mm-hmm. Cardinals get rid of Gannon. The fantasy footballers, the same reaction you gave after Luke missed that kick, they gave in the office after news that Gannon was fired. Browns fire Stefanski, which is just like, what are we doing here?
He's a good coach.
Yeah. Falcons with Raheem Morris, and then I saw like the video of him like giving Art the big hug, and then like an hour later he was fired. It was like the kiss of death. And then the Raiders.
All right, we're gonna put Ravens 1 as the best opening. Okay, I'm gonna put them below.
Okay,
I'm gonna go Giants 2. I think the infrastructure is actually not that bad for New York right now.
Okay.
So if you're a Giants fan, I'd be pretty optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Falcons 3.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
But you're just mad that I'm not putting the
Titans. This is personal. Go ahead. I'm just glad the Titans are involved in this rankings.
So the Falcons are 3. The Falcons have a pretty like decent team right now. If they feel any good, I don't feel that great about Michael Penix, but
I was about to say the quarterback is a big part of that.
Yeah, so is the quarterback situation in Tennessee,
which is good except for the shoulder injury.
Next, I'm gonna put.
Don't you dare.
I'm gonna put the Cardinals next, and then after that, I'm gonna put the Browns, Raiders, then the Titans.
Hold on, I'm gonna need to contact HR real quick because this is harassment.
No, I'll put the. I would have put the Titans above the Cardinals probably.
Okay.
Just
let me. I know that I am just like you are a Pittsburgh guy. I'm a Titans guy. Let me give you like the glass half full version. Is that Cam Ward looked really good. They have the 4th overall pick and some draft capital.
You're really bearing the lead here by saying Cam Ward looked really good.
He did. He did towards the end of the season.
Like at a point in time, like he made a
at the end of the season. Did you see the graph of his strength of schedule that he faced?
Look, I
Hold
don't
on.
think
Wait,
I don't think
this
he's
is
an
not a
auto
Cam. I
bust.
don't want to get.
I'm saying the outlook of Cam Ward is definitely more bad than good. If we're trying to find a top 10 quarterback, top 15 quarterback in the league. But yeah, there's a chance that he's okay.
Yeah, he did well with what he had to work with. And they have a top pick. More so than that, though, honestly, for a coach, they have the most money available to spend as far as cap goes,
Yeah,
which is
I'd rather the Falcons.
yeah. I would say
Not
ownership matters, and Tennessee's a big mess. They obviously fired Vrabel, so I get that.
just wait till they get Matt Nagy. It's gonna be great.
Oh, well, see, that's the thing. I think anyone with a coaching opening wasn't feeling great about the options. It wasn't like last year or even the year before, like Ben Johnson was a candidate. You're like, we want to get him. Like there weren't a lot of great like up and comers that you want. A lot of them honestly were defensive coordinators.
But my feeling about coaches, because I remember, and I always cite this, but back in like 2014, I want to say, I did a bunch of coaching articles on Number Fire when, we were just trying to get content out the door, and it was it was the coaching carousel, and guys were getting hired and such. And I was writing articles and looking at their past history from like an expected point standpoint and how good their teams did and performed on offense and defense, or whatever kind of coordinator they were, right? If they were a defensive coordinator, usually most of them were, very rarely are you getting like a John Harbaugh special teams kind of guy. And so what I found though in doing that is anecdotally, there's not really, it's really not easy to predict if a coach is going to be good or not in general. What I've found is just like my outlook on coaching is there's a chunk that is definitely X's and O's. And then there's another chunk that's just pure leadership. And if that leadership can surround themselves with the X's and O's, and then sometimes you get unicorns like Sean McVay, right? Or potentially Ben Johnson. We'll see what happens. But like Sean McVay, clear unicorn who understands the game on a really intense level, but then also can lead and be a motivator and be a great leader in the locker room. Whereas Mike Tomlin is mostly a leader, right? And you could argue John Harbaugh has been mostly a leader as a coach. And so to me, there's a lot of wasted ink when it comes to who's good and who isn't. What I will say is I don't really if I'm a fan of a team like Tennessee or the Giants to a degree, aside from maybe a John Harbaugh who just has like a crazy good track record, I would kind of want like new blood to be like, that's why Ben Johnson is was such an intriguing option, is because he hadn't had that opportunity yet. And he was waiting for that opportunity, And so, and picking and choosing and finding the right spot for him. And so, that's why like the Matt Nagy's of the world, just like, and when Pete Carroll went back to Vegas and stuff, it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Let's get someone else an opportunity to show what they have. I've seen Arthur Smith linked to the Cardinals, and I'm like, what is going on? Can we just stop this? It's gotta end.
Would be funny though with the Ballers celebrating, and then then they get Arthur Smith, and they're just like because they understand what that would mean for like fantasy purposes. But yeah, like I think Harbaugh and Stefanski, and other than that, it's like Shula. These defensive coordinators.
I think
DC
Shula,
for Green Bay.
I wouldn't be surprised if Shula is like a Ravens kind of candidate. Because he was tied to the Steelers before a lot of this went down. Before that game went down on Sunday night. But I think that we've seen that like McDonald going to Seattle being an unknown. A lot of the times the unknowns, the guys where we're like, who, what? Like Mike Tomlin was an unknown when the Steelers hired him.
Yeah, and
those are the guys that oftentimes, Sean McVay was an unknown. Those are the guys that end up actually doing pretty well in their next spot.
Cardinals and Browns, just for me, at least with the Raiders, you have the number 1 pick. And so you understand what the plan is. Browns, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I really don't know how you're fixing. Shador is not the answer.
I would agree there.
So like, they're just
the irony of you saying that with backing Cam Ward the way you are is funny.
Because I think Cam Ward is the answer.
Okay, we'll see.
He's the definitive answer.
I have no strong opinion either way. I'm just letting you go out there. Haven't done my research enough.
You're going to disparage Cam Ward, and in a couple years, you're going to have him in a best ball contest. and he's going to get you to the final.
Oh, is that like whenever I had him ranked really low this year and everyone was giving me crap for it? Is it like that in best ball?
You were surrounded by both
And then I
me.
advanced 47 of my 150 million teams.
You're surrounded by both me and Denny, who were big Cam Ward truthers. Did not work out well for us, but hey, next year. But like Giants have Dart, so they know what they're doing. Ravens obviously
a good like not a bad team at all,
and a decent pick. The hilarious thing about the Giants is, I don't know if you saw the record for the past like 3 or 4 years, and they only have a certain number of wins.
Yeah,
but they keep on winning at the very end to ruin their draft spot.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, let's play off best ball.
All right. With that being said, let's get to some playoff best ball.
The late round main event.
I'll go through this quick.
Yeah.
And then we can draft. And so people can kind of see this all in action. So I have like 9 things that I want to just bring up about playoff best ball this year that you guys can, you can look at the YouTube channel and screenshot it or take notes yourself, whatever. But these are my opinions based on myself drafting, doing research. Brandon Gadula sent out a really good newsletter today about the teams, because what's really important here is you need to be drafting players on teams that are going to advance. So you don't want to really draft any Carolina Panthers unless you're just trying to get something. And like I've drafted maybe like 2 Rico Dowdles just to get like some production at running back if I just completely missed on running back, or like a Tet McMillan, whatever. But you should not be expecting Carolina to advance. And that's a big deal because if Carolina loses, then those players are just completely irrelevant in fantasy football and in best ball moving forward. But here are my 9 things. Number 1, I think this is the tightest playoff that I've seen since doing any fantasy football analysis for a living. So it's a super tight race to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. And so what that means is that you shouldn't have like really, really strong leans if you're drafting a lot of volume in best ball. If you're going to do 5 to 10 drafts, I'd say, sure, go all in on the Rams. If you think the Rams are going to make a run, that's fine. But if you're going to do 50 plus drafts, and throw money at the $3 or something like that, or even the milli, I would not be going super, super heavy with one team in that environment because there is a lot of, it's just a tight race in general. The second thing I have here is that team stacking is everything, right? To that point, I typically, and this is number 8 on this list, but we can just skip it whenever we get to it. I ideally want a 2 to 3 team build, sometimes 4 if, at most, right? Whenever you're building these teams. So what I mean by that is if I take the Rams and then I take the Patriots, I'm going to try to draft as many Rams and Patriots as I possibly can, and then build around that, maybe get a third stack with like, I don't know, Houston or something like that, or San Francisco, because we know that in the divisional round, which is actually the number 3 point on this list, you want to ideally avoid second round, divisional round matchups between the teams that you're drafting, right? So if you're drafting a lot of Rams, well, that's probably the worst, a bad, because that can go in so many different directions. If you're drafting, a lot of Chargers, let's say, who maybe they upset the Patriots, in round 2, the Chargers are going to face Denver. Yeah. So if you're drafting a bunch of Chargers, don't draft a bunch of Broncos, because you want as many teams late in this tournament as you possibly can to be still alive, because then you'll have more fantasy players still alive. So team stacking is everything, but also do your best to avoid those divisional round matchups. Sometimes you're going to screw up and you'll have a couple guys that accidentally slip in, and you also can't predict everything. Like when you're drafting a 5 seed, for instance, it's not easy to know exactly who they're going to play in round 2. Whereas, if you draft the Bears, chances are they're going to be playing either the Rams or the Eagles, right? And the higher likelihood is the Eagles, just based on point spread. And so if you have a lot of Chicago Bears, don't draft Philadelphia Eagles on that same team. That's just a general way of thinking about this. I will say my number 4 point here, I'm not immensely concerned about future paths and matchups and such, like who's going to have easier matchups. I will say, though, that there are some outlier instances where, like, the Eagles, for instance, they get San Francisco this week, who are struggling on defense quite a bit. And then if they were to win, they could get either, let's say the Rams, if we assume the Rams win, if the Rams and Packers win, then they would get the Rams in round 2.
Yeah, because they reseed in the next round.
Right. So they would get the Rams in round 2, which not a bad matchup. Probably would have like a 48.5 or something total. But if they get the Bears, if the Bears beat the Packers, the Bears defense hasn't been playing that great. Right. And so all of a sudden you have 2 pretty good matchups for fantasy on paper right off the bat, right away. But generally speaking, like Pittsburgh would have a really tough path because they get Houston this week. And then if they win, there's a decent chance or some chance that they could get Denver next week if Jacksonville were to win, right? And that's just a brutal, brutal path. But Pittsburgh's a unique team because not a lot of people are stacking them, right? So from that perspective, if they were to make it to the AFC Championship, I don't think it's that big of a deal if the matchups aren't amazing, right?
Yeah.
I will say my favorite teams that I'm targeting this year are the Bills, Rams, Eagles, and Seahawks. They're chalky, pretty chalky. They're 4 of the top 5 teams on NFELO, which is a way of measuring. And NFELO is a great resource, but great at measuring, how good a team actually is versus their actual win-loss record. All of them are top half in EPA, offense and defense. I think the Seahawks are a very undervalued stack right now. It's a little bit more difficult with JSN because the opportunity cost is so high because you're drafting him so early. But I don't really mind getting once I'm set in the first 4 rounds or so, getting Kenneth Walker, Sam Darnold, and AJ Barner, for instance, right? And just getting a Rashid Shaheed in the final rounds and just getting a very cheap Seahawks stack because Seattle on paper is probably the best team in football, right? I too am very nervous about what's going to happen with Sam Darnold, but I think on paper, they're probably the best team, in football right now. And so keep those teams in mind. I'm trying not to be overconfident right now in Chicago. These are teams that I'm a little bit weary of. I'm still drafting, but I'm trying to hedge as I'm drafting more and more lineups. I'm trying not to be overly confident in Chicago right now because it's a pick'em essentially against Green Bay. That's a little bit scary. San Francisco, I'm very concerned about because their CMC especially is very costly, but they're underdogs against Philadelphia in Philly, and Philly's good, so it's a difficult spot for San Francisco to be in. And then I'm going to throw out Houston, try not to be overly, I am drafting more Houston probably than Chicago and San Francisco. But I don't think that they're a lock to win that game in Pittsburgh. I mean, there's the stat that the Steelers are 23-0 in their last 23 Monday Night Football games in Pittsburgh, which is insane. Mike Tomlin's never lost Monday Night Football in Pittsburgh. And then on the reverse side, they also have lost 6 straight playoff games. So something's got to give in Pittsburgh this week. And I know that Houston's pretty bad on the road as well in the playoffs. So, and outdoors. So I think that they're kind of interesting. I'm still drafting Houston, but I don't want to just say that they're a lock to win the way that I feel, the Rams are a lock to win. And then I do have on here, is CMC overrated? I'm having a hard time. I think he can score points this week, but
they've got to go all the way.
Yeah, there's just a lot of I'm getting exposure to CMC, but I'm trying not to be stupid about it because it's CMC. It's very easy to latch onto that and be like, oh, it's Christian McCaffrey, best player in fantasy this year, arguably. And of course I'm going to draft him, but it's guys, they're what, 4.5 point dogs, I think right now in Philly, and the defense isn't playing that well. And the Eagles are playing fairly well right now. I just don't think it's going to be a lock that they just are able to move on. So get some exposure if you're playing in a lot of lineups, but I don't know about San Francisco. I'm not totally buying into it, but I could be wrong. I mean,
and they might have to play the Seahawks.
Yeah, there's a good chance
if they beat the Eagles, they would have to play the Seahawks in the second round unless the Packers upset the Bears, which could happen.
Right. Well, yeah, more of a pick'em. But yeah, my typical build, if you guys want that, I usually go 2 quarterback, 3 to 5, or I should say 3 to 4 running backs, but usually I should say, I don't know what, oh no, sorry, I'm reading this wrong. 2 quarterbacks, 2 to 3 running backs. That's what I was why would I ever draft 5 running backs? 5 to 6 wide receivers and then 2 tight ends is usually the standard build. Like I said, you want to have ideally A 3-team build, ideally a 2 giant stack build if you can do that. And then the last point, have fun.
That's right. That's what it
Enjoy
all
doing
boils down to.
Yeah.
So Memphis says after I draft off vibes and instant regret.
Yeah, you can't draft off of vibes in this. You have to. I'm telling you guys, like when you're doing regular season long best ball drafts, they become second nature towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
Right. And like, you can watch the live streams I did in July and August and such. And those live streams, I can have full deep conversations about anything while I'm drafting them. You can't do that with playoff best ball.
Well, the other thing is there's half the teams, so it's quicker.
Right.
So it's coming back. I wanted to shout out Brandon Gadula, who is our newest employee at Late Round, because he, in this newsletter that JJ referenced, he has the teams and he also has like the guide. So if you're drafting and you draft like a player, like your first round, you're drafting a player, or your first 2 rounds, you can just reference this email if you want to see, all right, who are some of the teams I need to.
Yeah.
And then on DraftKings, you can actually type in the teams. There's a team filter.
Yeah.
You can just target those teams. And that way you're not tempted to draft somebody else.
Yeah, you can Brandon had a lot of good bullet points for every team in this newsletter, saying like, how good they are versus historical 1 seeds and stuff like that. And how well they are in EPA per play, just tons of good data for every team. And then at the end, he had, when drafting Seattle stacks, you should target these teams and avoid these teams. And you can see that for all 14 teams that are in the playoffs.
All right, JJ, you can go ahead and enter a draft and we'll pull it up.
Oh, I'm doing it?
Yeah, I thought, I can, if you would.
Yeah, you pull it up. I think it's better that way.
You want me to? Okay. I'll do it then.
As you're doing that,
yes,
I'll talk more about some of these some of the best ball approaches that I've been taking. I am trying to get more Rams players than I was before. Not to say I wasn't before, but I realized I was a little bit underweight versus where I wanted to be with Matthew Stafford. And the reason I think the Rams are so valuable is because they, number one, are a good team by most analytics and by the eye tests, etc. We know they can beat any team in the NFL in a given week. But they also are easily the biggest favorites this weekend, like easily, not even close, right? Like 10-point favorites against Carolina. And so from that perspective, you're getting that extra game and there's a very high likelihood of them advancing. Whereas we don't have that kind of information for literally any other team that's playing this weekend. You could look at across the board. Who do you feel most confident in winning this weekend aside from LA, aside from the Rams?
Pittsburgh.
Do you really?
No. you got so excited though when I said Pittsburgh. It just, you think we have a chance? No, I would say for me it's Rams, and then honestly, other than that,
I'd say I think it might be Philly for me.
I'm not.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That reaction is exactly what we need to know about how tight this is. It's right. Usually not as tight as it is this year. And so you really, it does sort of encourage you to draft more teams, unfortunately, for some, some people might not want that and like that. But
I don't think it encourage. I mean, you want to have exposure, but it's just like anything. It's a lottery ticket. It's a movie theater ticket where you're just going to be cheering for those teams.
Yeah. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm saying if you're trying to capture the iterations, you would have to do that.
Yeah. Let's not overextend ourselves, JJ, if we don't need to.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Okay. Well, we've got the 5th overall pick. So going up against Jagman, David Slepkow, Boss Bub, Jacked Up Sharks. It's an interesting one. And Batee 65. So we've got, the draft starts in about 30 seconds. This 5th draft pick. Let's talk a little bit of strategy. Who's going to be there? If we sort by ADP, it's going to be Puka first, CMC, Josh Allen, JSN, then Saquon. Are you fine with Saquon there in the 5th spot?
Yeah, I think you could argue Saquon all the way up to 102 in these.
You do have him pretty high up your rankings. I've got your rankings imported, and also you can download the rankings on Patreon if you join the Late Round community.
You can.
and import them here.
I think Saquon's interesting because he's in a good spot this week. He could be in a good spot next week. And I like I said, I just think I think Philly has a decent shot this weekend. It's not dramatically different. I think obviously the Rams have the best shot, but in this, at the back end of the first, I'm usually thinking about, getting if Josh Allen is still there, that's great. Or a Drake May. Saquon Drake May isn't a bad start.
Saquon goes 1.3.
So we could be looking at a Josh Allen team potentially, or we could get if we get Josh Allen, we could just cross I have not gotten many Josh Allen, James Cook teams. It's because most people just take James Cook.
Yeah.
At the 1-2. Yeah. Let's get Josh Allen and see. So now that we have Josh Allen, we know that we want to start building Buffalo stacks. And the nice part about Buffalo is that we can wait for a lot of their weapons. You just get like a Dawson Knox late, a Brandon Cooks, and just have a couple guys there. And then that
there goes James Cook.
Yeah. James Cook always goes to the 5-6. So now we have Josh Allen. Could we go Devontae Adams? Matthew
Well, now we go. I think we definitely go NFC.
Yeah, we go NFC. I think we're down to Adams or AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. Which one you want?
Whichever.
All right. Let's craft a story. Let's go Devontae Adams, healthy, just getting all the touchdowns on the 1 yard line. But yeah, part of it also is if you get Josh Allen, you can just focus on NFC.
Yeah.
Something that Davis Maddox said yesterday, and we were talking about the value of like Dalton Kincaid. Like it feels like if Bills go to the Super Bowl, which you need the whatever your high value picks are, you need that team to go to the Super Bowl.
Sure.
But it feels like Kincaid would have to be involved in that Super Bowl run.
You would think, but I can still see a scenario where like it's a different dude every week. Yes, he would be used in your lineup at some point. The problem with Dalton Kincaid that I found is that his ADP is really high for what he produced this year. And to me, the only reason it's as high as it is because he's being pushed up because of Josh Allen. Right. But yeah, I mean, the problem with going the Rams there, which is what we did, is that now you're stuck with, no obvious Rams in the next round. Whereas we could have gone AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. That's the only.
We're on the clock right now, JJ.
We could go. You could go Diggs if you want to and get one more guy in the AFC because they're probably not going to play each other in the second round.
Right, they won't.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we're coming back after 2 picks. So we got Josh Allen, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and then we're coming back.
Get Travion if he's there. He just went. This is a tough draft.
But it feels like he's sniping us on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones where it's like, man, we could have gone.
Yeah, we should have gone AJ Brown, so we could have gone, Devonta Smith in that one. All right,
I'd say Ramondre.
Okay.
To pair with Stephon Diggs next.
Yeah, and the other thing is like, I don't know, with the stacking, you kind of want like a max. I like to have like a max of 4 teams, stack with a couple like a one-offs, but figuring out you want the Super Bowl to have as many players going in as possible. So you want the 2 teams facing each other. So you have to figure out what that looks like.
But you could get in this particular lineup in the way that it's being built right now. Like we could, we took the Rams with Devontae. We could maybe get like a Colby Parkinson later, right? And Blake Corum is another one that I've been getting a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then also pair them with like what if we just go with like a crazy Packers stack in this? And it's like, oh, the Packers are the team that surprised us in the playoffs this year. You
want to go Shakir right here?
That's okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So Shakir next. And again, this is where we're throwing ADP out the window for the most part at this point.
Yeah.
I don't care that deeply about ADP whenever you're completing these stacks because they're important. We could go.
I kind of want to go Kincaid.
Oh yeah, Kincaid's still there. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see if Batiste snipes us again. Let's look at the board. Some of these other teams. So we ruined Jagman's complete stack of the Rams, which can happen. Draft Kincaid here. So he has a Rams stack. with Broncos. He has Sutton and Nix. The number 2 slot has all Niners. So CMC, Kittle, Purdy, and Jennings with Nico there. Number 3 has the Eagles with Saquon, AJ Brown, Hurts, with a couple of he's trying to work on whatever is going to look like in this next version. He's probably struggling a little bit. And then we've got JSN, ETN, Lawrence, Washington, Myers, and Strange. So we got the Jacksonville Giga Stack with JSN. And that's the other thing is it's really hard to kind of pair those. Like, you've got to advance. And so you can't just automatically go with like Broncos and Seahawks.
Right. If you're going to go Broncos Seahawks, you better have a good
base
with,
right. Yeah. That's going to advance you to the next round.
And I wouldn't go like so heavy Broncos Seahawks, like 3 or 4 guys.
Right. Yeah.
On those teams. But like, when I get Josh Allen, I'm always intrigued to go like to see if I can build like a Sam Darnold type team, just to have that because Josh Allen itself. The other thing to keep in mind, you have a quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, tight end, and flex in your lineup. That's it, right? Yep. And so one nuclear performance can completely carry you to the next. If Josh Allen scores 40 points this week, then more than likely you're going to advance. Like Josh Allen would be the guy. You'll have good odds at least to advance.
We need another running back. I've got Corum.
Yeah, let's go Corum. We gotta pair up. And then I also think that we could think about Hunter Henry still as a pair with Kincaid. Oh, he just won.
Yeah, and that's tough too. I don't know. I think we might be.
No, we're fine because we can get. I guess we got Kincaid. I was going to say we can get Dawson Knox later. We could still go Knox if we wanted.
Yeah, but we got to figure out who the quarterback is that we might want to use for the NFC team if we do go.
Usually Jordan Love for me in this kind of scenario. Caleb Williams just went.
So Darnold, Love.
Let's go. You know what? Let's go Darnold and get like Shaheed and see if we can get Shaheed, Barner, and Cup or something.
Okay. So Darnold over Love?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's get weird. Okay, so right now we've got our AFC side of things is Bills and Patriots. So Allen with Shakir and Kincaid, Adams, Diggs, Adams, Corum for the Rams, and then some Seattle players. So
this is late for some of the, like Hunter Henry and Dallas Goedert went really late in this draft.
Yeah. So looking at Rams and Seahawks for that NFC side. And the other thing is sometimes you got to tell a story with some of these other picks as far as who's going to get you there in the Super Bowl. And what's going to happen if someone gets an injury or someone has to step up,
Yeah.
We weren't expecting that Juwan Jennings performance in the playoffs last year. Was it last year? It was last year, right?
Either that or 2 years ago. Yeah.
Maybe 2 years ago. I think it was last year. No, Eagles were last year. Maybe 2 years ago. But yeah, we weren't expecting that in the playoffs. And
who have been your Bills wideouts you've got? Have you done Brandon Cooks has kind of been my go-to with the last rounds.
Yeah, so you're just like
we're on the clock again.
Firing darts, basically.
All right, so we have Darnold. Is there like a?
There's also Ty Johnson.
Yeah, AJ Barner, is he there? Nope.
All right, we got to pick real quick.
Yeah, Ty Johnson, I guess.
Yeah, let's go Ty Johnson.
We're gonna need to get a Shaheed Cup.
Yes, this is where we're gonna go: Seahawks, Bills, Rams, and really focus on these teams right here. And so, yeah, we got Shaheed right here. All right, that's good.
I like Higbee too. Or if we can't get Higbee, we can get Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah, we got a pair though. We don't have any other pairings with.
Yeah, let's get Shaheed first. So we have someone.
All right, so we've got 2 spots left. This is exciting. I don't know how good this team is, but it's exciting at least being on the clock with you.
It's got 4 teams.
Yeah.
You know,
And people don't realize whenever you ask for a ranking, you ask for a ranking at the end of your best ball streams. The one that you won, it was like a 7-1, 7-5. People weren't exactly.
It was a very, very middle of the road draft.
Yeah, it was a math thing.
And this is a very middle of the road draft.
Yeah. So right now we've got 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 4 receivers, and 1 tight end. So we need another tight end.
Okay, tight end should be the other another Rams tight end if they're available. Like I think we go Terrence Ferguson.
T. Ferg.
Yeah.
We probably need to get him now.
That's fine.
Look at that draft board.
Yeah, these rounds. So once you get into the 11th, 10th, 11th, 12th round, you're really just, and I'm saying this not to you, to everybody else, but you're really just looking for guys that can kind of complete your stack. So we can go Ferguson, we can go Brandon Cooks too. I think Brandon Cooks would really bring this together if he's still there.
Okay, are you satisfied with Stevenson, Ty Johnson, and Blake Corum?
I think we got to be. The thing with running back though is that like what's valuable about a guy like Saquon and why I do have him ranked fairly high is I think that they have a better chance to advance than the 49ers do. Yeah. But then on top of that, you can have a 2 running back build.
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of people go Walker and Charbonnet.
Right. I mean, like you can just have a 2 running back build and be good to go. All right, let's go Brandon Cooks to close it out.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Right, so you want Keon Coleman who doesn't find the field?
You just never know. I mean, it's a choose your own adventure. So if you've got a lot, I guess I would say like if you've already got a lot of Cooks, it's like he's your go-to guy. You might want to, if you got multiple entries, you might want to diversify that.
Yeah.
Not knowing who's the guy.
Oh no, I mean I'm diversifying the Buffalo wide receiver room.
Oh, okay.
I'm just getting Brandon Cooks the most.
All right. Well, we've got again our 4 teams. We got the Bills and the Patriots on the AFC side. We've got the Rams and the Seahawks on the NFC side. But I think we didn't we say the Rams, if they won, are going to play the Seahawks? So we might have gone against.
No, I mean they still might not.
Yeah, you'd be cheering for the Packers.
Here's the thing. I think people, when they think about again, yes, there are some where they definitely will, right? They will definitely play that next game. But like you're talking about do I think the most likely outcome is that the Rams play the Seahawks? In my bracket, I have the Packers beating the Bears, for instance, this week, right? So like and there's still a chance that the 49ers beat the Eagles. And if either one of those things happens, then all of a sudden the Rams are playing not the Seahawks, right, next round. And so I try not to get too caught up with like the 5 seed stuff, because Houston's the same way, where they could go in a lot of different directions with who they play. And in the second round, they could play Denver, they could play New England. Like we just don't know, because there's 50-50 propositions. And so that's just the way it goes if you're drafting those particular teams. If I have the Rams though, I try my best to typically I like pairing the Rams with like the Packers, and then having or the 49ers, and then having another mega stack, on like New England or Buffalo or something like that. We just went with, the reason why I went with Seattle in this draft and why I said get Darnold is because the team right before us had drafted Christian Watson a little bit early. And I think Watson would be a nice piece to kind of start and tell the rest of the room that you're going to go towards the Packers. And since that team drafted Watson, I figured, oh man, they might be trying to go after Packers with us, and that would be a really big problem down the line in the draft.
All right, good stuff. That's our playoff best ball draft. And again, if you want to get in on the action, you go over there at DraftKings. And they still have like other contests too. Like JJ said, they've got the $3 20 max, which would be a good one. All right. Last thing, JJ, I want us to pick our playoff quad box. All right. So
we're still doing quad box here, huh?
Well, we've got, let's pick our top 3 try box.
Okay. Are you going first or am I?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
I like that Steelers and Houston game. Is that what you were going to pick?
No.
Okay. I didn't know I didn't know from like a homer
Are you really picking
standpoint
that?
what you were going to pick.
Are you going to pick Houston and Pittsburgh first?
No. I'm going to pick Eagles and 49ers.
Okay. I'm going to pick, because I think the winner of this game will win the conference. I'm going to go with Buffalo and Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
I think that one's probably odds on favorite to probably score the most points this week.
Yeah.
I need to get more Jags is one of my sticking points right now, because I think Travis Etienne's a little bit undervalued.
All right, let's determine a game together. It's not going to be Panthers and Rams.
Nope.
I
think the next one's got to be Bears
Packers
division rivalry.
I like it because of the hatred that they have.
Was great.
And I do want Steelers and Texans. Because I will be cheering for that one. So they are going to be the fourth one. We're going to do 4.
What, Steelers Texans last?
Yeah, sorry.
Go Steelers. You want me to send you a TJ Watt jersey in the mail?
No, I don't.
CJ will be wearing that on Monday.
All right, there you go. There's our quad box. JJ, that will do it for our playoff best ball show. Do you want to say anything to the people?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
So podcast schedule, we'll be back around January 20th, where I'm going over, doing the typical late round podcast stuff. This will be in the podcast feed up until then, so the next couple of weeks. So next week, you'll probably only get this in the podcast feed, but we are going to start doing some like recap type stuff for each position in fantasy, sort of like what we just saw. And then I'm going to give some way too early top 10s at each position. So we'll do that week in and week out over the next handful of weeks. We are also going to be traveling in February to the Super Bowl.
California.
And so we will be doing some content from out there that will hit the podcast feed and will hit the YouTube channel as well. So be on the lookout for that. It's the off season, so we're starting a little slow because there's a little bit of a planning phase going on with late round. But prospecting is about to start for me. Yeah. Working with Brandon on a lot of stuff. Just really excited for what we're going to do in 2026. But for now, next week, probably just the show, and not probably just the show in the podcast feed. And then the week after that will be when stuff really starts to ramp up again. And you guys get 3 episodes a week, including the show, in the late round podcast feed.
Yep. More content than ever this off season from late round.
Yes.
So excited about that. The content will, some of the content will be the same. Some of the content will have improvements naturally, and some of the content will just be brand new. So I'm stoked about that. I'm excited about that. So JJ, it was an honor, honestly, to do a playoff best ball show with a best ball bro, a top 40 guy. I was a best ball finalist a couple years ago.
Famously.
I put that in my bio because it's really hard to advance a team.
You think about the odds of doing it, it's very, very difficult.
It's very, and to be top 40.
Yeah.
Top 40. You were in the top 40. So it was an honor to do this show with you, JJ. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. So on behalf of JJ, I'm David. We'll see you next time here on the Late Round Fantasy Football Show. Peace.